Bible Answers with Dr. Al Garza.
All right, welcome back to Bible Answers. I am your host, Dr. Al Garza. So today I want to say first and foremost is a happy, blessed New Year and blessings to all those who are followers and believers in Yeshua Jesus. Hopefully this is a year of for a lot of you, of a lot of more joy and peace, and if you're going through things that the Lord maybe makes whole and brings healing to you and your family. So I want to say that first and foremost, and we're always praying for those in the faith. And real briefly, I want to say again, thank you to the people who have been donating to our Hebrew New Testament project that we've been working on and trying to get out as fast as we can. Those who have been contributing weekly and monthly, I want to say thank you for that. And hopefully this year we can get something out in print. I'm not sure what exactly, if we're going to do it book by book, like Matthew and then Mark, Luke, and John, or try to get the Gospels all in one and then go to the epistles and so forth. I'm not sure yet. I'm still working on that. And so, but we are moving forward, and those who are giving donations, I want to say that you'll be the first to receive a copy of any published work we do. So if you're giving to us on a weekly or a monthly basis, expect to receive a notification of a printed copy of whatever we do. First and foremost, just that's to say thank you to you, and it's at no cost because your donations are help supporting and making this move. So if we do a book of Matthew and from Hebrew to English translation from all the manuscripts, and we get it in print, then we will be sending you a copy of it first and foremost if you've been donating or contributing to the project or whatever we publish. So with that, I want to say thank you for that, for all the help. And if you want to be a partner, you can go to the website, dralgarza.org, click on donation. You can be a weekly or a monthly donation, whatever you can do. that goes directly to working on the Hebrew New Testament translation project, where I am working on translating going through all the manuscripts to translate in English the best, at least what I think could be the best reading in English. And with all the minor variants and updates within the text, using all the 4,000 plus Hebrew manuscripts that we have of the New Testament. So it is something that I've been working on for the last couple of years. So hopefully we can get something out this year. That is my goal. Is by the end of this year to get something in print. I'm not sure which one yet or what book or how, but something. So keep that in prayer. And again, thank you for your contributions and your donations. So today I want to talk about real briefly is what I call lost in translations. And what I'm saying, what I'm meaning by that, or what I'm referring to, is the fact that even though we read from a very standard modern English translation, and there are a number of different English translations or modern English translations, they pretty much have the same message behind it. But sometimes things get lost. Things get lost in translation. They don't give us clarity or give a real good meaning behind a word, because again, we're talking about Hebrew, which is an ancient Near Eastern Semitic language. And even if you're using the Greek New Testament, even with Greek, things can still get lost. Hebrew and Greek are two different languages. All right, one again is Hebrew, which is an ancient Near Eastern language, very action-oriented, verbs and adjectives, very descriptive in what it's trying to say. Whereas which makes Hebrew a very concrete language. You could always get a picture or a sense of what it's trying to say. Whereas Greek and other Western languages, and Latin and all the way to German into English itself, very abstract. There's no real clear meaning or understanding sometimes from those languages because they don't go back to a kind of a very action picture oriented word like in Hebrew. So it's being lost in translations, plural. I'm talking about translations that are outside of the Near Eastern ancient languages like Hebrew, where things can when you get to the Greek and all the other languages after, things can get totally muddled and lost, and it's very hard sometimes to get meaning out of a passage or a text. And we do our best as we can within translation, but even then, a lot of things will get lost. So translations are good to get the meaning of the message and the understanding, but to get a true deep understanding sometimes, not all times, but in a lot of cases, unless you go back to the root of the word, the ancient Semitic meaning of a word, things can really get lost, and then meanings and different teachings can come out of this, and a lot of times it's completely way off the mark as what was intended by the author. So this is what I'm getting also from translating the New Testament from Hebrew manuscripts, and I'm doing comparisons with Greek and so forth and other languages and certain passages. Sometimes there's no help from the Greek or any other language versus what Hebrew is trying to say. So sometimes the Hebrew amplifies the meaning behind it, and you can go back to the Old Testament, look at the Hebrew there, because a lot of the New Testament Hebrew manuscripts I have use a lot of Old Testament words. So because again, the language of the Second Temple period, the time of Yeshua Jesus, is reflecting back to the Hebrew Old Testament. So we would expect to see that. So let me give you an example, because I think this is important. We see a lot of words in a lot of Christian theology, a lot of Christian beliefs, a lot of words that are being misapplied, misused, misinterpreted. Give you an example. We look at the word for evil. We look at the word evil itself. The word evil, obviously, when you think of it, is like, oh, that's something outside of God, wickedness, and things that, that we can't even, we shouldn't be involved in, and all these things, and it's opposite and contrary to God. And that is true in some sense, but the word evil, and this is remember, when I say evil, I'm saying evil as an English modern translation of a Hebrew word. We use evil as a one-sided word. It can only refer to this, but the Hebrew word that we translate evil from is more of a neutral word. It could be, and it's the Hebrew word ra or ra'ah, which can be used for good and righteousness or for wickedness. That word is more of a neutral word in Hebrew, in the sense that it doesn't always mean evil as in wickedness, opposing or opposite of God. Not in any sense at all. So this is where we don't define our terms when we say evil. Well, evil, again, is one-sided in English. It's lost in translation, whereas in the Hebrew, it's more of a neutral word where you can do ra or ra'ah righteously, when we say evil, righteously and correctly, versus doing it to do evil actions or intents to people for no reason. So this is where I say, if we don't understand the root word of things and see how it's used, then we can lose it. Give an example. I'm going to look at a passage here on the word evil itself, and how sometimes translations and uses don't come out correctly in the English. So if I look at Isaiah 45:7, a lot of you might be familiar with this passage. It's really popular. It talks about God being the one forming light and creating darkness, causing well-being and creating evil. Now, some translations use calamity, but that's the Hebrew word that we translate. That's the word used for evil in Hebrew, ra or ra'ah. That here the translators put calamity. They didn't put evil here, because it talks about God creating evil. See how they didn't translate evil here, but as they do in other places, they put calamity. The word creating is the same root word in Genesis 1:1 for bara, create. God created. Bara. Bereshit bara. In the beginning, he created. So the same word created here is one from Genesis 1:1, and of course calamity here is, or evil, and King James I believe uses evil, is the word ra'ah. So, and it says, I am the Lord who does all these. So he creates, he causes good, well-being, wholeness, and he creates evil or calamity. That doesn't mean evil in the unrighteous sense. In other words, God can create, the word ra in Hebrew literally means to be harmful, to create calamity, harm, hurt, and it can be done in an unrighteous way or in a righteous way. So in other words, if a nation opposes God or if people oppose God, God will cause calamity, harm to them as a form of judgment. He'll send evil spirits or harmful spirits. This is why we say God is the one, is not the author of evil in the sense of wickedness or unrighteousness, but he does in the sense of calamity and destruction like he did with the flood. He is the one who creates that in the form of judgment. So this is why we have to be careful, because in translation we don't see that how the word is used correctly in other places. It'll say, it talked about God sending an evil spirit, or and it's like, well, what is that? A spirit of harm, a spirit that's going to go and bring judgment and bring calamity or adversity somewhere, that God is doing so for a reason. So this is where sometimes we lost in translation. It's a word for sin, the same thing. This is where I think a lot of also Christians and a lot of reformers, a lot of people who don't go back to the roots of words from the Hebrew scriptures that predate the New Testament, obviously, we don't get a good understanding or foundation how it's being applied even in the New Testament or other texts or during the Second Temple period, at the time of Yeshua Jesus, and how they understood these things. Grace is another misunderstood, misabused word. Not understanding where it comes from. I have a great paper in academia.edu. You can actually download that on grace. Goes back to the root word of Noah and how the word grace has been totally misunderstood. With sin and evil and all these things. So this is something I want to focus on for this new year with doing the translation, is try to get back to the foundation of where we get a lot of our modern term words and where they come from in the ancient Semitic languages of Hebrew, and in some cases Aramaic and so forth, that are going to reflect the translation that I'm working on in regards to these manuscripts. Because there's a consistency amongst these manuscripts of the New Testament. I might have 6 or 7 manuscripts of the Gospel of John in Hebrew, and they all pretty much say the same thing. Minor variants like we have in every manuscript, but they say the same thing, use the same Hebrew words, Hebrew terms, and that's a consistency of a line that says that they understood what would have been used during the time of Yeshua Jesus and what is reflected in the Hebrew scriptures of the Old Testament. So like the word evil, which is many times misapplied, misunderstood, how it's used. To say, well, does God create evil? Well, yes, if you're using it in its neutral term in Hebrew of how it's understood as calamity and chaos, yes, he does. He does create evil, not in the unrighteous way, but in a way that brings judgment and righteousness upon from God upon us, those who oppose him. So let's not get confused about that, because it depends how you're defining the word evil. From its true, traditional, and true Hebrew word of a neutral meaning, when we talk about the tree of life, of knowing, having the knowledge or discernment of what is whole and good and what is harmful and hurtful, that's where man has that ability now to say, I'm going to create harm and hurtfulness in a very wicked way, or I could do it in a sense that's going to reflect, a way that protects myself and so forth. And God does it within judgment. Only God was to have that discernment, and we got it, and we're just doing things that are very, unrighteous in many ways of those who aren't saved or those who are not following God. So does God create evil? If you're using it in a neutral sense, the way it is in Hebrew, then yes. But not he doesn't create wickedness or create, unrighteous harm upon those who don't deserve it. In the sense of that respect, God allows things to happen in people's lives. We can't explain many of them a lot of times. Sometimes we never understand. Sometimes it takes us, half our lives to look back and say, now I get it. But God himself can cause calamity upon those who, in a sense, deserve calamity or hurtfulness. Sometimes we as children get chastised by God when we fall away from God, or we do things our own way and God has to put us back on track. Sometimes it takes that evil or that ra'ah from God, that adversity or that calamity in our life to put us back on track. So sometimes, yes, God can create in that sense, not the evil in the sense of unrighteousness or wickedness. That's where people get it wrong. And most people don't understand the scriptures that well to go back and reflect and say, okay, where does this word come from? What is its true meaning behind it? And then how is it used in scripture and all the way into the New Testament? So think about that, because I bring this up because a lot of things are lost in translation, in translations, plural, and I'm trying to bring back those meanings in this new, in a sense, a new Hebrew to English translation from the Hebrew New Testament manuscripts that we have, the 4,000 plus. So I'm trying to focus on how the text should read, reflecting back to the language and how it should have been understood. And then at the bottom I have footnotes of the variants or where the word comes from. If it's from the Hebrew scriptures of the Old Testament, I'll put it there, references and manuscripts. So I hopefully will have something for you this year. So I want to kind of give you this update. And again, if you are giving donations or contributing, I want to say thank you for all your help. And if you continue to do so, it's a blessing to be able to do this for you, as well as to be able to send out a copy once we get them done. So if you're not giving donations, please consider it, whatever you can. If it's $10 a month or if you do weekly, whatever helps. Again, not because I need it, because I do have my own businesses and own my own companies, so I have other means of income. I'm just trying to focus, have more time to put this project together without having to work outside of my businesses where it takes more time away. So I'll be able to take those funds and put them here and then put more time in them where I can actually use my businesses to run themselves and paying out my people to get the work done. So again, thank you for your donations, contributions. Consider being a partner. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so here. If you have a question or comment, leave it here. I'll be glad to answer it. One thing I tend to do that I've been told a lot of scholars don't do is respond to comments and emails. I believe it doesn't matter, and I know this firsthand. When I first started out and I didn't have very many followers or subscribers on certain social media platforms, and even if I made a comment somewhere, asked a question to another colleague or another scholar, so forth, they refused to respond because the person didn't have enough subscribers or enough followers, and they don't bother responding to those with only a few, which I don't know if you're responding to my followers or you're responding to me directly or what. I mean, what's more important? If we're having a dialogue, why does it matter if I have 5 followers or 100,000? It's a dialogue between two people, not my followers. So I don't know if it's just ridiculous. Sometimes I've had people make that comment, but I don't care if you have 1, 2, or 3 or a million followers. I'll respond. I'll respond the best way I can. I'll respond through email. So if you have a comment or question, leave it here. Email me, and I'll do my best to respond in a time that's sometimes pretty quick. Sometimes takes me a little longer, depending on what I'm doing, but I will respond. So, and if I happen to overlook it, I apologize. Leave another comment or give an update and say, hey, I didn't get a response. Or if you have a question, email. Sometimes things get overlooked, and I apologize for that. But again, leave a comment here, question, email me, go to the website, drlgarza.org, buy some books. There we have bundles for the new year. The commentaries, my book bundles, save some money rather than going through Amazon. But again, support the ministry if you can, support the project. And again, I want to say thank you. And again, have a happy, blessed new year for all you followers and believers in Yeshua Jesus. And again, we'll keep you updated as we move forward. And thank you. God bless. And we'll talk to you soon.
Bible Answers with Dr. Al Garza.